Good morning, kids. How are you doing? So I wanted to talk to you. The adults can listen if they'd like, but my wife Donna and I, we live on a little farm. Anybody ever been to a farm? So we have goats and chickens and bunnies and dogs and cats and horses. I think that's it. And one of my main jobs on the farm is to do chores. Do you know what a chore is? What's a chore?
It's something you have to do.
Something you have to do, right? And so when you have that many animals, there's always something that needs to be fixed on the farm. And an example might be my wife, Donna, might come up and say, honey, my doorknob's loose on the kitchen. Can you look at that and fix it for me? And I say, sure. Or she might say, those bunnies are getting out of their cage again, and you need to go down there and see what's wrong. So I say, sure. So as a result, I have quite a few tools I've collected over my farm. And so I go to my tool shop and I get my tool bag, and for whatever job I'm going to do, I pick out the tools I'm going to need for that job, okay? And so I'm going to show you a few tools that I use quite a bit. Anybody know what this is? Yeah, it's a hammer. What about that tool? What's that?
A screwdriver.
You guys are sharp. What about this?
Knife.
A saw. We'll call it a saw. I couldn't put a real big saw in there, so I put that one in. And one more. We'll see if you know. If you're really smart, you might know what this is. Wow. So what do you do with that?
You measure things.
That's right. You measure things, don't you? So did you know that each tool has its specific job, doesn't it? You think I could drive a nail in with that? It'd be kind of hard, wouldn't it? Or do you think I could saw a piece of wood with that?
No.
Not really, huh? Well, the Bible tells us, and I got one more tool in my toolbox. What is that? That's the Bible. That might be the most important tool of all, huh? And in the Bible, did you know it tells us that you are God's tools? Did you know that? Listen to this in Acts. This is talking about King Saul. It says, this man, Saul, is my chosen tool to carry out my name before the Gentiles and their kings and before the people of Israel. Did you know God has a chore for us to do? And what is that chore that God wants us to do? To share the word, isn't it, about Jesus, right? And each one of you can be his tool. And as you get a little bigger, you're going to find out that each one of you, just like each one of these tools, is really good at something. And maybe that's music, or maybe it's speaking, or you're strong and can do hard work. But God wants to use you, doesn't he, to do his chore of spreading the news about Jesus. So when you go and you get a little bigger, you figure out what it is, what kind of tool God wants you to be, okay? You can go back to your seats now.